All right, let's get right into it. Today, we're talking about a brand new class of weapon coming out of China that could seriously rewrite the rules of modern warfare. It's a story about unbelievable speed, high-stakes global strategy, and a tech race that is heating up fast. So let's just start with a simple but kind of terrifying question. What if a weapon existed that was so fast, so unpredictable, that all of our current defense systems were basically useless against it? What would that do to the global balance of power? I want you to hold on to that thought as we go through this. So let's dive in. The star of our show today is one very specific piece of military hardware. It's China's big entry into the hypersonic age, and believe me, it has the potential to be a total game changer. Okay, so what in the world is a hypersonic glide vehicle, or HGV? Honestly, the best way to picture it is like skipping a stone across a pond, except the pond is the upper atmosphere. You launch it up on a rocket, but then it detaches and just glides. It can pull up, it can bank, it can maneuver, all on a low-altitude path that's nearly impossible to predict. This is not the simple high arc of a traditional missile. It's built from the ground up to be sneaky. Now, this weapon actually has two names, which tells you a lot. The Chinese call it the DFZF, but US officials, who are the ones who first spotted it in testing, gave it their own codename, the W14. That dual identity really just highlights how secret this whole development program is. But here's the thing. This isn't just about one country building one weapon. The DFZF is really a symptom of a much bigger trend, a new, high-tech, and very serious arms race. China is definitely not doing this in a vacuum. So let's zoom out and look at the bigger picture. In this arena, you've really got three main players at the table: the United States, Russia, and China. All three are pouring massive amounts of money and brainpower into developing their own versions of these ultra-fast weapons. It's created a whole new field for geopolitical competition. And this is absolutely crucial. Each country has a completely different reason for being in this race. The US wants this tech for its prompt global strike idea, which is the ability to hit any target on the planet with a non-nuclear weapon in less than an hour. For China and Russia, though, their motivation is almost entirely reactive. They're looking for a silver bullet that can defeat the incredibly advanced missile defense systems the US has spent decades and billions putting in place. So, if it's a race, who's winning? Well, let's put the three top programs side by side. When you look at the data from their tests, a pretty fascinating story starts to emerge. First, let's just look at how they get these things airborne. The US drops its X-51A test vehicle from a massive B-52 bomber. Russia uses a huge, silo-based ballistic missile. But China has taken a much more flexible approach. They've designed the DFZF to be launched from pretty much any of their huge arsenal of road-mobile ballistic missiles. That makes them way harder to find and track. And this is where the picture gets incredibly clear. Just look at the test success rates on this chart. The US program has had about a 50-50 shot, a 50% success rate. China's DFZF, on the other hand, had 6 successful tests out of 7. That's an 83% success rate. That huge difference tells you that their program is moving forward with a kind of consistency that is, well, frankly, remarkable. A big part of that success is just pure tempo. I mean, look at this. China rams 7 tests in just a little over 2 years. That sheer frequency, testing that often, it shows a level of national dedication and a super fast learn from your mistakes development cycle that is clearly paying off for them. So, with China being so obviously committed to this program, you have to ask the big question: what is the end game here? What is the strategic reason for all this intense effort? According to the source material we've looked at, the #1 goal is to create a weapon that can reliably beat regional missile defense shields. For more than a decade now, China has seen the US setting up these defensive systems in the Pacific as a direct threat to their military options. The DFZF is designed to be the answer. It's their countermove. And we're not talking about abstract defenses either. These are the specific shields it's built to break. The US supplied Patriot PAC-3 systems stationed in Japan, South Korea, and Taiwan, not to mention the defenses that protect critical US military bases all across the region. The DFZF is custom-built to make these multi-billion-dollar systems obsolete. The kind of strategy this weapon makes possible is known as a decapitating strike, and it's pretty chilling. Here's how it would work. You launch from a mobile launcher that's hard to find. You use the glider's insane speed and maneuverability to just blow past all the radars and interceptors, and then you hit the enemy's brain, their command and control centers. The point isn't just to blow something up, it's to paralyze their ability to communicate, to coordinate, to fight back at all. And this brings us to the most serious question of all. We've been talking about this as a conventional weapon, but could it be something more?
Right, so here's the crucial detail. Wreckage recovered from one of the failed DFZF tests pointed to it being launched by a liquid-fueled missile. Now, there could be technical reasons for that, but here's the thing. Liquid-fueled rockets in China's military have historically been tied to their nuclear program. This evidence, while it's not a smoking gun, it opens up the terrifying possibility that the DFCF is a dual-use system, that it could carry either a conventional or a nuclear warhead. And you better believe this technology isn't standing still. When we look down the road, the capabilities we're talking about today, they might just be the opening act. This could potentially reshape not just a conflict in one region, but the entire landscape of global warfare.
The next huge leap is a technology called scramjet engines. These things are unbelievably complex, but they basically allow a vehicle to maintain hypersonic speeds over massive distances. And guess what? China is already working hard on developing them. If they can successfully merge scramjet tech with their glide vehicles, the DFZF could go from being a regional problem to a weapon with intercontinental range, a global threat. And that really brings us to the core of it. As the Jamestown Foundation puts it, by threatening to make the defensive shields of U.S. allies totally useless, the DFCF isn't just another weapon. It's a profoundly destabilizing force that could completely upset the delicate military balance that's kept the peace in East Asia for decades. Which leaves us with this one last thought to chew on. For more than 70 years, global security has been built on this concept of deterrence, the absolute certainty that if you attack, you will be hit back with a devastating response. But what happens if one side gets a weapon that can't be stopped? A weapon that could potentially paralyze an opponent in a single, lightning-fast blow? What happens to that certainty? In an age of unstoppable weapons, what does deterrence even mean anymore?